The church. At this time, we're going to present to you the secretary to the Board of Bishops, the executive secretary to the Board of Bishops, Sister Brenda Conley. Our first diocesan secretary, Sister Sallie Ellerby. Second diocesan secretary, Sister Diane Rayford. And the third diocesan secretary, Sister Shavina Terry. Let's receive them at this time as they come before us. God bless you, ladies. Thank you.
Amen. As Elder Scott said, we are the administrative end, and hopefully we keep things moving and in order so that the church can move forward. Amen. Our plan over the course of the next 3 days is to review some of the blanks, well, the 4 major blanks that we're responsible for. There are questions from time to time, and hopefully we can help you work through those. But before we begin there, I just want to give an overview from my perspective of what the administrative responsibilities are. Our duties consist of assisting or being a helper to the next person up the chain of command. We are responsible for keeping the records. This will sometimes be minutes, cash flow, and we should have a limited knowledge of legal requirements. We are to, as much as possible, keep the flow of information smooth and continuous. We are sometimes responsible for the calendar, its upkeep, and scheduling of those for different meetings or whatever. We are also responsible to keep our records safe. If there's ever a time to get access to them, they should be easily accessible, and they should be in a safe, secure place. The purpose of our work, we're kind of like a memory bank. We should be able to tell you what has happened and what plans have been put forth for the organization to move forward. Organization, local, general, or whatever. We are a point of reference and help you to stay focused. I was thinking about this. Sometimes we don't put such great emphasis on the secretarial duties and the record keeping, but God thought record keeping was important because he gave the commandments first to Moses, and then he gave the scripture through his holy anointed writers. So it's important to have records of what is going on. I thought also of scientists. They do spend many hours developing vaccines or what have you. And if they don't have records to go back to refer back to, then they can't duplicate the work that they've done. So too with the historian and a doctor. How pitiful would we be having a medical history and go to the doctor and he has no access to our history and he has to start over again. And more importantly, and for our purposes, our pastor, they depend on us to keep record of the accomplishments, spiritual, the member growth, and the financial goals that the church is setting. Our personal responsibility, administrative assistants, is to take pride in being accurate in our work as much as possible. We depend on information coming to us, but we should give some evaluation to that information. And if it doesn't make sense to us, then it's not going to make sense to anyone else. So if you, it's been said that if you love yourself, others will love you. And the same principle can be applied to your work. If you love your work, take pride in your work, others will value your work. We have a personal responsibility to stay abreast of any changes that may be taking place. And that's going to require some sacrifice and some diligent study and effort, and sometimes some sleepless nights, and more often, time on our knees. We can always go to God, and I can testify to you, He will open up your understanding to things that you may have thought impossible. The last thing under personal responsibility I want to share is you are responsible for the work, but the work is not your property. This is the work of the church. And sometimes we may become a little possessive, but this is the church's work. We have a responsibility for continuous improvement. That's one thing I remember from my work days. We were constantly training and training and training. And secretaries, the pen and pencil days are good and they do their part, but some of this information needs to be put on some digital device. It makes it easier to transfer the information. It makes it easier to compile it. When we've got 26, 28 districts, it makes it easier to store and keep the information if it's in a digital form. So we want to encourage you, if you haven't stretched, to stretch into technology. It can be intimidating, but I kind of adopt the theory that if somebody else can do it, I can do it too. Because Paul told me I can do all things through Christ. So you just have to get a little bold sometimes. Bite your bottom lip, maybe shed a tear, and move forward. And as good as technology is, just a word of caution, don't get so caught up in the presentation of it and miss the details. The details are what we need to move forward. We are hopefully moving toward uniformity in our minutes from our district and general meetings. And this information will be forthcoming as we move forward. There is one format out there, but everybody seems to have lost it. And we have 8 conventions, and I probably have 6 different formats. So we want a little more format unity in uniformity. That's the word I'm looking for. We want a little more uniformity in the way we present our minutes from our gatherings. The last thing I want to share with you is the resources that you have available. There may be secretaries who have retired in your local church. If not, some of those saints that are there, they know how some of this is done. If that's not an option for you, The other churches have secretaries, they have administrative assistants, and go on up the chain to your district secretary. And you now have the benefit of national diocese secretaries, and I am always available and willing to assist you in any way that I can. But the greatest resource we probably have available right now is on our church webpage. Sister Turner has recently redesigned and updated this, and there is a wealth of information available there, specifically to administrative assistants. If you'll go to fbhchurch.org, go to the official church blanks. There are Word files there that are fillable, and there are even assembly guidelines, which will take you from church, Fuller's Memorial Tabernacle, all the way to secretary or treasurer, whatever the last line is. So please avail yourself of these resources. Sister Terry is now going to throw me up a split screen, and we're going to go through the Sunday school. Thank you, just the verbiage. Thank you. Sunday School Annual Report of the Fire Baptized Holiness Church of God of the Americas. First blank is your church name. And I speak from sometimes from having been the district secretary. And sometimes I guess we confuse it because it's going to the convention, and we will put the name of the convention church. But your church name is referring to your local church. And the name of the convention, you can put either the church name and or the location of the convention. Thank you. You're doing a beautiful job, Sister Terry. And then the date of the convention, whatever that date may be. Then we're going to check the condition of your Sunday school. The 4 examples that you're given are excellent, good, fair, and poor. Those are very subjective terms, but they are not to be measured against what your perception is. There is a standard, and the standard is excellence. And for me, when I say excellent, I mean that there is nowhere to improve. Are we there? We are good, in my estimation, when the attendance and offerings of our Sunday school are better than they were the previous year. We are in fair condition when we realize that we need to grow, and we have developed a plan to grow. And as Bishop said this morning, I put poor on life support. That's when you need a lot of help. The number on roll, that's the number who generally are in the average number who attends your Sunday school. And it may or may not be the same for the number saved. It may or may not be the same as the number on your church roll. Hopefully you're drawing some from your community, or you're bringing them from your communities who are not members, so that your Sunday school is larger than your church roll membership. The next item is the number of revivals sponsored by the Sunday school and the spiritual work that results from that revival. We're encouraged by the discipline to have at least one revival sponsored by the Sunday school. This is also a great way to grow your Sunday school, because you have an opportunity for your Sunday school scholars to bring in others from who don't go to church. We're not looking to steal members. We're looking to grow our church from those who are unsaved. Average attendance, and note whether the pastor addresses the Sunday school. Average, you know what your average is. If you have 10 one Sunday and 20 the next, then you have an average of 15. Is that right? And note whether the pastor, and I don't know any reason why a pastor would not address their Sunday school. The discipline says they are ex officio, so that means they're responsible for everything, and the Sunday school is the bedrock of his church, his or her church. So I'm sure that they're interested in that auxiliary. Number of ministers and whether they attend Sunday school. Again, you have these subjective evaluations, excellent. All of them attend most of the time, good. Most of them attend some of the time, fair. They come now and then you have some who never attend. And there may be extenuating circumstances. They may be disabled or maybe not have transportation because in many of our churches, many of our members are aging and we're not doing very much in evangelism and growing new members. Money raised. Our church operating differently than when these blanks were made up, and you may or may not have a main treasurer, a convention treasurer. You should have a Sunday school rally day where you receive monies, and the total would be everything from those treasures. In your main treasure, that's normally the treasure where you do your operations. You buy your literature, you take care of any Sunday school needs, donations, or whatever that may be deemed necessary by the Sunday school department. And then your convention treasurer is to hold funds anticipating the Sunday school and HYPU convention. And as I said, your rally day, all of that's totaled together so that you're able to meet your responsibilities to the convention, the general church. And we know that those funds go to support our school in Greenville. 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are self-explanatory. Those are, paid out for literature, books and materials to the elder, to the pastor, to the church, to the less fortunate, to the bishop, to the district president, to the convention, to the delegate for expenses to the convention, and then your total amount paid out. Years ago, I can remember when they encouraged us to empty our treasures. I don't remember why that philosophy was, but now we are encouraged when we've taken care of our responsibilities to leave something in the treasure. I remember the last sermon I heard Mother over in South Carolina preach, Mother Nichols, leave something in the field. So leave something in your treasures so that if you happen not to be the superintendent, you come in and you've got an idea to do something to grow your Sunday school, you have some working money. Leave something in your treasure. The remarks, most often we just testify there, but I'd like to encourage you to speak to the accomplishments that you've made during the past year and address what plans you have for the upcoming year. This is good for you because it shows you where you are and where you want to go. And it's good for others when we're in the convention and they're reading these remarks to get ideas to start to help to encourage and grow their Sunday schools. And then we most humbly submit our superintendent, pastor, secretary, and treasurer. Once they've signed that, it becomes a legal document and should be placed in a secure place for future reference. I know I didn't get any questions. No questions? Wonderful. That being the case, I will now turn the presentation over to Sister Ellerby. And she tends to be a little long-winded, so don't be concerned if you don't have time to ask your questions today. We will allow time at the start of the session tomorrow. I just saw a question about revisiting the blanks before Sister Ellerby comes. Yes, we've got a revision already in place. We just need to bump that up the chain of command, and they are all continuously improving. The ones we have today are nothing like the ones I started with a long time ago, and we want to continue to improve them as our church needs change and as the need of the information flow continues. Sister Ellerby.
Thank you, Sister Conley. Thank you, Sister Terry. I will be going over the church annual report. And the top portion of this blank is kind of self-explanatory. That's why I didn't put it in there, but I will read through what's at the top of the blank. At the beginning is the name of your church, where the convention is located, and the date, and you to testify. And it has a statement there: since the last convention, there have been how many converted, how many sanctified, how many received the Holy Ghost, and how many have been divinely healed through prayer, how many have been added to the church, how many deaths, and they ask you to put the names of the deceased. Also, the number that you have on roll, members, number of preachers, number of ordained ministers, number of local licensed ministers, and how many give the 10th to the Lord. Uh-oh. Okay, going into our blank. Money paid out through the trustee board. Gave to the bishop. This is the amount given during the bishop's official visit. Gave to the ruling elder. And this is the amount that's given to the ruling elder on the 3 visits. Gave to the pastor. This should include pastoral Sundays and finance Sundays. Gave to the district president. Whatever you gave to the district president on the official visit. Gave to evangelists in your church, and any evangelists that you gave a donation to for revivals. Gave to the less fortunate. Any donations to those in need. Gave for educational purposes. This is for Sunday school literature, donation to graduates, and the Sunday school and HYPU convention. Gave for missionary purposes, your church report to the convention. And raise on 5th Sundays. It has more than one space there because we have more than one 5th Sunday in the year. You put the amount there that you raise on that particular 5th Sunday. Total raise for convention. And that's your total raise for your convention report. Total raise through finance. Total raise through the finance. Total paid out. Total paid out through the finance. Amount in treasure. And that would be your balance on hand. Okay, the right column deals with the trustee. Total raised through trustee. The amount that goes on that line is the total that you raised through trustee for trustee Sunday rallies and etc. Anything that was raised for the trustee. And paid out as follows. On church land, that's on your property. On the church building, if you're paying a mortgage, or if you've done repairs or any additions. For church furniture, for pews, chairs, tables, microphones, etc. For rent of meeting house, that is if you have to pay a lease on the building that you're having service in. For current expenses, that's for your light bills. For church extension, this is the church expansion is what that should be. For other donations, any donations given by a trustee. Total paid out through the trustee is the total that you paid out during that year for the trustee. Remaining treasure is your balance in the trustee treasure. Present indebtedness, if you're making a mortgage payment or anything that you're paying towards your building. Value of church property, worth of land and the building. Grand total paid out for all purposes, go on that line. Grand total paid out for all purposes. Grand total raised for all purposes, go on the first line, and grand total paid out for all purposes, go on the next line. And that completes the payout, and you're reporting to the convention and give the name of who you have sent as delegate. Submitted by the pastor, the deacon, secretary, and treasurer, and your remarks. That completes the form for the church annual report. Any questions?
Yes, we have questions. I guess until she unmutes. The first question is, what about guest evangelists not in church for programs on the blank?
What about guest evangelists that you invite in for revivals?
Yes.
Where it says given to evangelists in the church and for revivals, goes on that line. If you invite an evangelist in to do a revival for you, it goes on the line where it says gave to evangelists.
All right. Second question is, so current expenses is only for light bills with a question mark.
That's what I understood that to mean. Also, I checked, and that's what that is for, light bills.
Not all utilities, just the light bill.
You said current expenses.
All utilities.
All utilities, okay.
Yes.
All utilities.
All right. Third question. Is the pastor's rally day anniversary to be included in the amount given to the pastor on this blank? I would love to answer that, but on the new blanks that we give out during, I guess, Youth Congress, it has a spot that is listed for pastor's rally, and then it asks for a total.
That's correct. That information goes on that blank of his rally.
I got another question. Would current expenses also include heating bills? I think we just addressed that one. We have another question. Is total given to the pastor just pastoral Sundays and finance, no other donations?
Some of them might prefer it to be, but it's everything the church gives to the pastor should be included there.
So
because it's coming from the church finance.
Right. So that'll include welcome backs, travel trips, helping them to go to Greenville for conventions, everything that you've given them should be included in what is given to the pastor.
Yes.
All right. Next.
So when they get ready to give their 15 or 20% in the annual convention, they can give.
Okay. The next question is, what is all included in current expenses?
I think we covered that. Any utility. In the old days, they referred to the electrical system, the current that ran through the electricity. And that's why some just included electricity. But if you do that, where are you going to put your gas bill for those of us who have gas, your telephone bill, your internet service, your water bills? Sometimes you have sewage bills. So we've changed that to be utilities rather than just the electrical bill.
Is the total paid out a combined total of trustee and finance?
It should be grand total paid out.
All right. Where do you put reoccurring expenses that the trustee is responsible for, such as sewer and garbage?
Again, that's part of the utility.
All right.
See, they didn't have those charges in the old days. They took it out back and burned it or buried it.
All right. Is for missionary purposes just the church report and not what was given to the district president? We talked about that yesterday. Is the missionary purpose just for the church report and not what was given to the district president?
Yes, because I think it asked up on the blank, higher up, what was given to the district president. I just addressed that. There's a line that says district president, and then further down, it says either missionary purposes, and I do apologize, I don't have that blank in front of me.
Yeah, that's correct. Gave for missionary purposes.
Okay,
And
that's where the,
church report goes.
thank you, that's where the church report to the Sisters Convention goes. And it states it a little differently on the annual blank when we get to that.
So I think their question is, do you put the church report and the district president's visit as a combined total on that particular line on the annual convention blank? So,
Let me pull up the blank so I can say
Well,
for sure.
you have one space there for the missionary purposes, which the church report goes there. Then you have a space for the district president, and that on her official visit, and that's where you put her amount.
Thank you.
all right. So the next question is, so the rally is on the blank. Yes, it is on the blank that your elders normally get at Youth Congress. Those are updated blanks that are handed out versus what is on the web page. This question says, finance include all auxiliaries except trustee. Is that a true statement for the annual blank?
It should be. We don't adhere to it, but every dollar that comes through the church is either finance or trustee. The auxiliary is just a bucket to put it in.
All right. That seems to be all of the questions that I see on the side.
I have a statement to make. I was given some information. I made the comment that we used to empty our treasures, and I wasn't quite sure why. Sister Turner is our resident legal person, nonprofit person. She said that's because nonprofits only have funds for targeted purposes, so that if there are funds still available, then technically you're not a nonprofit because it should be not for profit. And if there's a balance in the treasure, then you're saying we have a profit.
Okay.
So.
We have one more question. Is pastor's aid supposed to be a part of this blank, or do they stand as their own entity of a church? And are they required to report to the church?
Pastor's aides were,
Thank you, Bishop.
the pastor's aide was designed to help a pastor with purchase materials that he needs for his ministry, for things like books and those kinds of things. That's what it was designed for. And if he's going to do some studies to help him along those lines, and again, anything that comes through the church is deemed trustee or finance. So these are just auxiliaries that are set aside. But yes, they're to be reported. Whatever comes through there should be reported. There's nothing secret. No under the table stuff.
Sister Terry, we have 3 more. Do you want to save those for tomorrow, or are we going to continue with the questions?
I think we have 8 more minutes. They're coming in. Does the pastor's aide supposed to report at council meeting? I'm sorry.
It's not, I'll take that one.
Okay.
It's not referenced in the discipline per se. So I would say no. You know, if they have ongoing projects and they want to let the members know, hey, we've got this much getting ready for our pastor's anniversary, but it's not a requirement according to the discipline.
I concur. Bishop
I
Rogers.
have,
If I may, while the pastor's aide is not an official auxiliary of the church listed in the discipline, because it is dependent upon the membership for its support, they are accountable to the church. And
Okay.
and so there should be a presentation of what those departments are doing, because they're depending on the church to help them generate the funds. Okay, and then whatever their payouts are, it should as well be noted so that there is a understanding of what's being done for the support of leadership.
All these pastors on here that don't have operating pastors' aides are going to be wanting to come to those churches.
all right, the next question is the building fund part of your trustee?
Yes.
How
Yes,
is
you
that?
can put it in a different bucket, but it is trustee.
That's
Anything
right.
that has to do with the physical upkeep, maintenance, repair of the physical church is trustee.
Yeah.
Are those funds reflected in the balance left in the trustee?
I would say yes, because if you've got them targeted for building fund, that means you've got a project that you're working toward, and you just make a note to that. It's trustee money targeted for a new roof, a new stove in the kitchen, redo carpeting.
It's trustee.
If
It's
I can
trustee.
interject, if I can just interject, let's understand that these blanks are not accounting instruments.
Right.
They're designed to give a reflection of the operation of this church for the 12 months that this pastor has been assigned and appointed there. So they are not accounting instruments. Okay, so let's understand that first of all. Secondly, when we are looking at the strength of a church and what that church is capable of accomplishing, these numbers reflect for us their function in those areas. And that's the reason why these areas are selected, so that they can make that presentation to leadership in the annual convention, so that we are mindful of the strength and operations of that local church under a particular administration. So those building funds help us to realize what that pastor is doing and what that church is doing as they target certain needs of their building and properties. So those things are necessary for us to be mindful of and to be aware of. Is that correct, Bishop Davis?
I agree wholeheartedly. And
Thank you, Bishop.
don't have your building fund sitting there doing nothing with it, and then call a bishop and say we need some help, and you've got money set aside somewhere that you're not doing anything with. So yes, those kind of things do need to be reported, and don't try and hide them from the elder when he comes and other sources. Sometimes we don't let the pastor know what's in the building fund, and that's not right. So be upfront. A new pastor comes to the church, they don't know what's going on, and you won't tell them we got a building fund set aside somewhere.
All right, next question. Money that we give to the elders for Fifth Sunday Fellowship, how are those reported by the elder?
Fifth Sunday Fellowship.
Fifth Sunday.
Fifth Sunday donations, I'm assuming that's what that means.
This Sunday money that they
Okay.
have
Oh,
the elder.
the general church decides at the start of the year during the annual convention, you're given a schedule where those Fifth Sunday Mondays should be directed.
True.
And sometimes, if I may, sometimes when those those monies are received, people are not always aware of what is presented to represent the district. And until it is heard in the annual conventions from their blanks, what they contributed, it sometimes does not always add up to what actually was presented. So those things are necessary so that we can be aware of those things, of what's being done. So each elder, as they're receiving their general monies, whether it's in a fifth Sunday, whether they have a fifth Sunday service collectively, or however, those funds are to be noted by the district secretary to know what those funds were and what they are to be and how they are to be directed towards the general purpose.
That's all the questions that I see. And we only have 1 minute, so we'll stop right here and give Sister Conley a break and let her breathe a little bit. Ellerby.
Elder Scott, thank you.
Somebody has something to say.
Okay.
Conclude for tomorrow. I think Sister Conley said in the morning. Or
Yes, we'll take up any other questions tomorrow. Elder Scott, it's back in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Bishop Rogers had a question.
Yes. I do see one question that I want to just touch. While we do not have, these blanks are not instruments or accounting instruments, there should be an accounting system for each local church. But these blanks is not that instrument. Just wanted to touch that.
All right. We're back in the hands of Elder Scott, and we'll see you all tomorrow at 2 to continue it out. And Sister Conley, we are going to have these compiled, and you just get in contact with your diocese secretary, and we'll make sure you get it.
Well done, ladies.
All right.
Excellent job.
Thank you, ladies. I told y'all this was going to be fun. This was going to be quite interesting when it comes to these financial forms. Thank you so much, ladies, for a wonderful presentation. And I'm sure tomorrow we'll have even more to go over. But that's what this is about, learning and understanding how this works, so we can come together on what we're doing, so we can be uniform in what we're doing, so we'll all know where we are. God bless you and God help you. Thank you so much again for a great presentation. At this time, we're going to give you look like a 9-minute break now, and we're going to come back with the Bishop of the Third Episcopal, and he's going to give us a ministry vision development presentation. So get up, stretch yourself, take a few minutes, get something to drink, water preferably, and then come back and we will listen to the next presentation. God bless you. Thank you.